What to draw when I don't know what to draw. That's the topic of today. What is this? Well, this is my daily warm-up drawing. Now you could say, okay, what's so special about it? Technically nothing. The only premise is this is from imagination and it's completely random and it works for me to get my day going. First, what is the tactic behind? So I want to share all these drawings I made the last few days. I like to do them on a Hanemühle paper because I know someone will ask about this. I put this also in the description below as a link. Also, I can use my ink pen very well. I also mostly use a uni pen, which is this one here, because someone will ask as well. If someone wants this, link is in the description. If you ever had the situation that you would wanted to draw, you feel creative and you want to draw, you sit there and you have no idea. Probably went on Pinterest, looked for some images to get inspired, and then you probably would draw some images or copy some images. +1 in the comment section. For me, big +1. I was drawing random images from Pinterest, but this would never make me happy. The good thing about this stuff, you have some sort of progression. Moreover, I want to kind of like give you some examples what you could do if you necessarily maybe are not interested in the topics I am interested in. And that's the first point. What you want to do with this is you want to start your blank page with an impulse. And this impulse comes from you. You have to put yourself into a relaxed environment, something comfortable. For me, it's going on my couch over there, sitting down and just taking the pen and just start to draw. Sometimes I start with one phase, I start with something and I just continue. The goal is for me, I do this as long until I feel ready to do anything else, any of my bigger formats or whatever I'm drawing for this day. I do that until I feel ready. And this can sometimes take an hour, it can sometimes take 30 minutes, sometimes I only have 30 minutes because of whatever planning. It's important that I do it because it gets me in the right mind. Even if I feel like I don't know really what I want to do today, I start my day with this. This always gets the ball rolling. And this is the first point. It helps you to start your day. You just have to start. That's the biggest hurdle. If you feel like, okay, Janosch, I cannot draw something as a figure, I cannot draw something complex, start simple. For example, what you can do, you can start with simple shapes or simple forms. That's something I also started to do, with just drawing boxes or shapes. Begin your warm-up drawing by drawing basic shapes like circles, squares, triangles, or ovals. And this will help you to loosen up. The reason is because you not only want to loosen up mentally, you also want to loosen up your hand and want to warm up for complex drawings. By the way, this is something I like to do in my head. I call it the chair method. It's nothing special. It's basically you imagine someone sitting on a chair and then you first turn the chair and then you try to put a person on it. It is not easy. It is also a great warm-up, which is kind of like trying to do a gesture drawing. So you can spend a few minutes on just doing the gesture and then capture the essence of the subject and trying to get in the flow and the movement. And if you say, hey, again, figure is too hard for me, no problem. Start with the chair or even start with the box and then put something on the chair. Not a figure, put a flower pot or anything that is a bit more simple. If you do that more often, you can kind of like cut the chair off and think about one person and try to rotate that person, because that's what you try to do in this process. The biggest part of doing this whole drawing from imagination warm-up thingy is to have no quality stamp. I do not felt very comfortable in sharing these on social media, and I did that already, so I started to share them, but it took me a long time to get to this, at least a year to be comfortable to share it, and I'm still not 100% comfortable on sharing it, which is kind of like weird and bad at the same time, because this is kind of like the essence what is inside of my little artist. That's actually what also a big plus of doing this is you not only get into the zone, you not only warm up, you're also going to talk with your own inner artist, because these type of things will show you what are you actually interested in, what is the things that fascinate you, right? And it can be anything. Sometimes you have some subjects you're going to draw again and again and again. It could be also something that you think about a comic, you could think about a frame, you could think about an illustration, you think about a certain character or a certain pose, a certain expression. Sometimes it's super random, but I love doing this because it frees me. The freedom is what you do and the freedom is what you get. And you don't think about what is it actually good drawing. At the end, who cares? It's important that you get warm, you get ready. And this is something I learned and I want to share with you, that when I have a subject which I kind of like study, on the next day, it's obviously my comfort zone because I just studied it the day before. And it's also great because it made me think about how fresh is the information? How much did I save? How good is it actually in my brain manifest? Observe when you're out there, have a sketchbook with you, do your studies on the side if there's a subject that interests you, but also reflect. Also, there's another topic I can recommend is basically imaginary object sketching. So you basically challenge yourself to create any simple objects from your imagination, and you just start with simple things like cups, books, or fruits. And then you kind of like enhance this in the ability to visualize and translate any idea onto paper. Even if I think I want to draw a little angel, I have no freaking clue how this little angel I had in my mind would look. So I just went off and I just tried it. And it's sometimes very interesting what kind of like stays there, because maybe the impulse I have on muscles, certain bones, certain depictions of things are different from other people. Right? Because I have a different background than someone who maybe grew up in Asia. And the topic still with me. It was still about resurrection. And you see there comes a little bit of a arm study in here. And I kind of like draw the same face, the same type of girl over and over and over. I add a skull super randomly. It kind of like fits that I want to tell my own little story inside of this. At the same time, this doesn't have any quality stamp. Sometimes I switch mediums, right? And I would also say, hey, you should draw with or paint with whatever you like doing. Sometimes you can also completely do the opposite. If I feel brush pen, I take a brush pen and I do my drawings with the brush pen. Am I more comfortable with an ink pen? Absolutely. I have more control. I'm still learning with the brush pen. But I really enjoy sometimes the brush pen because it feels more like painting to me. So I really, really like doing that. Sometimes I'm actually happy about certain indications and I learn things while just doing a warm-up. What you can also do is basically character sketching if you're that far in. So any dedicated time to sketching characters from your imagination, experiment with different poses, expression, body types, sometimes could be armor, could be anything that you kind of like feel interested. This will especially improve your general looseness for character design and foster your creativity. And the biggest, hardest step in this whole thing is just to start with this. I also love to play with any extreme or less extreme proportions. Or just mixing things up. So the frog samurai was very often for me a topic. First of all, it's comfortable. I learned the samurai armor. Then I draw certain faces, which I feel comfortable about. And I try to make sure that everything is properly in perspective and I look for nice shapes while drawing them in perspective. So what does it tell you? I put myself into a comfortable, relaxed environment and draw the things I'm comfortable. I'm actually happy about the result, even if it's just a warm-up drawing. It will maybe never be in a gallery, but I had a good warm-up and I have a sketch which I can look at and I like. Try to think of stretching certain elements, body parts, objects, features, and create any interesting designs or anything that's kind of like maybe mixed up. That's also totally fine. Sometimes time is also a great limitation. What I like doing, actually, I never did a comic, think about framing. And I think about famous mangaka artists or comic book artists I really admire, really like. Sometimes I grab even a book and look how they would solve certain storytelling. And then I include this in my warm-up routine. And this can be anything from super loose to something where I use the brush pen and I kind of like play a bit more with shapes and whatnot. Try to see if the comic works without any speech bubbles or any text. Go with your intuition. So let's say, hey, today I feel like faster drawing. Maybe I take a different medium. Maybe I try something completely different. But if you maybe want to draw the same subject for the first 60 days, 90 days, or even a year, it actually doesn't matter. And we just want to get out the creative essence. Because this is kind of like a repetitive training as well. Of course, it is a happy place for us, but on the flip side, we train our body and our mind to be creative every day. When I try to draw something, sometimes I come back to the subject on the same day even, or maybe on the next day. So what I mean by this is basically kind of like reflect my warm-up session. So what is it that I drew and why did I draw it? What fascinates me about it? What is the essence of it? And should I spend more time and resources on improving on that? Or maybe just keeping one single thing I like about this whole thing to save it in my brain. So just identify these areas of improvement and then you're good. Don't think you have to draw from imagination and it has to look great. Don't think you have to draw your warm-up and it has to look amazing. That's not the message here, okay? The message is draw whatever you want draw for an hour, loosen up, be creative, but try not to draw something that you see on an image. Draw that's inside of you. And I know this is really, really tough to do, but the first step you can do in that right direction is to just begin with one single drawing. Another topic you could also do is just dynamic poses. So basically practice drawing figures in dynamic poses, action poses. You can focus on any movement, energy, emotions through the sketch, or you can also cut things down. That's something I really like doing, because anytime I have trouble with certain ratio or certain gesture of a foot or something, then I kind of like cut things down and I bring them together until I'm pretty satisfied with the result. And I actually drew a little smiley here because I actually was satisfied with the sketch. Experiments are also part of this whole process. The experiment of proportions, but I also want to say experimenting in general. If you have a good word for it, because I find imaginative warm-up is a very long word. Maybe you find a good phrase or something, please let me know in the comments below. This is your time. It's your hour of the day and it's sacred. So if you want to loosen and try to draw a scene, or you want to experiment with a brush, or you want to kind of like see what happened if I do everything red and really go crazy, do it. Not everything is great. Perspective is off, storytelling is off, but again, it doesn't really matter. You will see certain subjects that maybe come back again and again and again. The biggest message here is give yourself an hour of a day to warm up. Try to listen to yourself, get loose with the things that you like drawing and the things that you are interested in, and then just let it go. Don't think about it, don't show it to anyone, maybe don't even talk about it. The important part here is, if you don't want to miss any future videos, to subscribe to the channel and give a thumbs up. I hope this was useful to some of you drawing, and I hope that you all grow to the artist that you want to be. Have an awesome day and talk to you soon. Bye bye.